Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ethex's Cuppa Club today. We'll just wait for some people to join us and then we will kick off. I'm going to be joined today by Phil Shadbolt, who is founder of Zeta and Easy Charge. And we're going to find out more about their plans for sustainable transport in Oxford and beyond. As you know, on these sessions, we'll ask Phil a series of questions, and you may submit any questions that you have via the chat function. Thank you to those people who have already submitted some questions. So we've got some to be getting going on right from the get-go, but we'll set the context and find out more about the organisation and what they're doing at the moment, and then we'll take it from there. So Phil, welcome. Nice to have you on here. We were just saying that actually we've been talking to you about coming on to Ethex for a number of years now. It's been an offer in the making as the company has got ready for taking on some new investments. So brilliant to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So just tell us a little bit as background about Zeta and Easy Charge, and then perhaps you can tell us a little bit about yourself as well, and who are your other team members who've been leading the organisation.
Sure. Okay, so I started Zeta about 30 years ago now. We spun out from Oxford University developing electronics, specifically electronics for vehicles. And actually one of the contracts that we won and we still operate is to supply Ford. So we are actually a tier one supplier into Ford Motor Company. Have been for a long period now, over 15 years. One of the only tier one suppliers actually in the UK to supply electronics into Ford globally. So we've got a lot of experience, a lot of background in high tech and developing electronics. That's my passion. My background is electronic engineering, and I love developing new technology to solve problems that I see in the marketplace as we're developing. So the company's been around a long time. We're based in sunny Bicester. We've got a factory, 20,000 square feet factory, so we've got plenty of room for expansion to grow the market and to build these chargers here at Bicester. We've got a team of about 30 staff, ranging from R&D through technical support and all the way through to production, sales and marketing. We've actually just recruited a really good guy, our business development manager, to develop this specific market for EV charging. And yeah, we're growing very, very rapidly at the moment, and it's very exciting times here at Zeta. Very good fun to come in at work at the moment.
Great. So tell us about Easy Charge and how that fits into the family, and what the offer is planning to do.
Okay, so we were fortunate to win a grant from Innovate UK about 2.5 years ago to develop this new charger that we've now deployed in the capital market. So Zeta won the grant funding. It's about £5 million worth of investment that's gone into this already from Innovate UK. And we developed a state-of-the-art charger, which we're very, very pleased with. It's a different kind of charger to most of the other chargers out there. It's upgradable. It's got very good features, make it very easy to use. And as we were developing this, we suddenly realized that actually the opportunity here for developing this charger and taking this charger specifically to local authorities, which is our market niche, was very, very large. And that's why a year ago we set up Easy Charge as the brand to take this to market. So if you like, we've got the umbrella, the overarching umbrella of Zeta, which is a 30-year-old company with 30 staff that's developed the product. And we've got the new exciting brand of Easy Charge, which is operating these chargers. Very, very soon we will have the contracts in place. I hope to make an announcement in the next week or two. And we'll have the contracts in place with 4 district councils in Oxfordshire to deploy 280 charge points. The charge points are actually in build already. They're part manufactured. They're getting ready to go out. The installation program starts in November, 1st of November. So there's a lot going on in the background, and a lot of work's gone into developing the chargers to get ready and to deploy the chargers all around Oxfordshire.
And do you have a specific deployment time for those to be rolled out?
Yes, so we must have the chargers all in the ground and operational by February. That's part of the conditions of the contract that we've got with Innovate UK that are funding, as I say, funding a great part of this investment already. So we already got contract in place with our infrastructure provider who will be doing the installation works in the car parks. All the plans are in place, all the planning permissions have been granted. Everything's all set up now, ready to go. All we're waiting for is the contracts to be signed with the district councils. And as I say, hopefully I'll have an announcement to make on that very, very shortly.
Yeah, brilliant. And obviously, a tech company is a different beast to a service company. Which would you describe Easy Charge as a service company?
Yeah, we have to, because we are actually, not only have we developed the technology, but we're having to support the technology in the field. So yes, we are transitioning from a tech R&D company into a tech support company. But I think what's very crucial about us is, because we're so good at R&D, and because we recognised at the early stages that these chargers have got to work. You know, if you're transitioning over to an electric vehicle and you want a charge and you need to get home, then you need to be going to a reliable charger. You must know that these chargers are going to work. And it's one of the critical things. If you look on any forum at the moment, people will be saying, "Oh yeah, but 50% of the chargers don't work." Our chargers work. We have a phenomenal piece of kit. We've invested a lot of money in the piece of kit to make sure that it's ultra reliable. We have a heartbeat signal that goes every 2 hours between the charger and our back office here to make sure the chargers are online, they're working. Each charger's got 2 computers which are always talking to one another and monitoring the system to make sure it's always live. So our chargers are one of our USPs. We've got several, but one of our real USPs is our chargers are easy to use, they're reliable, they're upgradable, they're nice chargers to use. People like using them. If you look on ZapMap, people's comments that say, "Why can't all EV chargers be like this?" Or "The best charger I've used, it's so easy." That's what we want. That's exactly our vision for these chargers, is to make them the sort of chargers that everybody says, "Well, actually, do you know what? I just want to go and use an Easy Charge because I know they're there, I know they're reliable, they're easy, I can trust them, they work."
Okay, so I mean, the obvious next question is, though, do you need a service team that has to go out physically to fix them if they do break, or is all that done remotely, or how does that work?
So yeah, we monitor them all remotely. So all chargers are connected to our server back here. We've got a very sophisticated back office which monitors the chargers every day. And it demonstrates to us which chargers are in use, how many kilowatts are being used. So that goes all the time. If there is an issue, and so far, touch wood, we've had very little issues. If there is an issue, we can actually remotely reboot the charger, or we can actually instigate a charge here from the office, even from my mobile phone. So if I'm out and about and I get a phone call from support and somebody saying I've got a problem with the charger, I can actually use my phone and instigate a charge on the fly for people. We've got a team here dedicated to service and support. Obviously, these are high-tech pieces of kit and they need people that know how to look after them. So we've got a trained technician team here that we have to go out and service these anyway every 6 months to make sure we get the safety certification. So yeah, we've got a full team here to support them.
Right, perfect, thank you. So loads of questions coming in. Great, thank you, everybody. So what I'm hearing from you is one of your USPs is the ability to upgrade the charging point.
Yeah.
How is that different from others?
So at the moment, you can either, you've probably heard the terminology, you get a rapid charge or you get a fast charge. So our units are 22 kilowatt AC fast chargers. And a lot of people there's a lot of hype about rapids. And yeah, I mean, there are horses for courses, basically. Rapids are really good if you just want to stop for half an hour, get a boost and go on your way. So they're great for like motorway service stations and things like that. Fast chargers like ours are great for if you want to go shopping, you want to leave the car for a couple of hours. At 22 kilowatts, you can get 75 miles for every hour you're connected. So they're good chargers, give a good, decent level of charge. But we do recognise that some of our chargers, because there's about 20 car parks that we're installing, and we're putting 6 chargers on average per car park. But what we're thinking is in the future, we might want to upgrade some and make them, a couple of them DCs. So for people that just want to go to a car park and just get a rapid charge. So we're now working on a design which means we can just swap out the module internally and upgrade these modules to 40 kilowatts DC chargers.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And are the chargers compatible with all types of car?
Yes, so most cars these days use what's called a Type 2 socket. So we've got, again, to make things easy, we've put a tethered lead on ours, which means you can just turn up, open your little flap on your car and plug in your socket, very much like a petrol, just plug it in and go. And so that we focused on that to make it easy. However, in every car park, there'll be one charger that has sockets on it. So people can plug in whatever charging system they like that they've got for their cars. So we've got a socket version and we've got a tethered version. Okay,
thank you. And can you charge electric bikes on them?
Yeah, funnily enough, one of the guys left a comment for us at the cattle market. He came from Birmingham and he was driving on his electric bike to London, and he stopped off and he used our charger on the way there and on the way back, and he left us a comment saying, fantastic, really easy to use, and it gave me a full charge so that I could actually complete my journey.
Brilliant. Okay. And do they use the same amount of electricity as other chargers in general?
Well, yeah. So as I say, there's different charging types. At home, you'll have a 7 kilowatt charger AC. At work or wherever you've got a 3-phase power supply, you can put 22 kilowatts, and that's what we do. We've got 22 kilowatts AC, and then there's the rapids, which, as I said, we hope to upgrade to in the future. Okay,
great. Okay, so let's just widen up a bit before we get too deep down in the tech. So tell us about the market in general. First of all, you're talking about charging at a location in these car parks. What's the market like for EV vehicles in Oxfordshire? And in particular, what's the analysis on or thinking around home charging versus location charging?
Okay. So we work with Oxfordshire, University of Oxford, and they help us very much with the data. The latest data analytics they've sent us shows the uptake, and it's traditionally called the S-curve because it's sort of going like that, and then it will peter out in 2030 or so. And the S-curve data gets actually more exciting each time it comes out because it demonstrates that the EV take-up is actually happening, and it's actually happening a bit faster than we first thought. So this S-curve you can see moving as people start deploying and taking up electric vehicles. So it's quite exciting to see that the uptake is actually happening, and we can see that actually from the data coming back from the Department for Transport now.
And what about the splits, do you imagine, between people who are going to be charging at home versus people who will be charging on the go?
Yeah, I think what we'll see is there's lots of solutions. As I said earlier, there's the business model that looks at service stations on the motorway. That's very valid. A lot of people will be charging at home. That's absolutely fine. That's going to be your cheapest way to charge your car. But there's also 40% of households don't have access to home chargers. So that's why we sort of came up with the concept of Park and Charge with Oxfordshire County Council, with the University of Oxford. We realised that there's going to be a need for people. There's a lot of people going to be moving over to electric vehicles, and they need to find somewhere to charge. So what we've done is we've identified those car parks that are close to residents that don't have access to home charging. They're close to areas where there's a coffee shop or a supermarket, And these are ideal EV charging hubs. There's about 100 car parks in Oxfordshire, and we've focused on the 22 or so that we believe will give us the best utilisation and the best service for our customers.
Okay, great. Thanks, Phil. And then, is there free parking for? I've got a question here around free parking for Oxfordshire Council.
Yes, so some car parks, mainly Cherwell, they charge for parking as well. Unfortunately, that's not under my remit. Obviously, we're just doing the charger. So if there's a car park that you have to pay for, I'm afraid you still have to pay for your parking. You don't get parking for free. However, I think all car parks after I think it's 7 or 8 o'clock at night, they're all free for a nighttime charge.
Got you. Okay, thank you about that. So just thinking about, you've talked about the district councils within Oxfordshire. I suppose the obvious question is, is there a risk that they don't sign, is one question. And then the other question is, where next after Oxfordshire?
So I think the risk of not signing there's always a risk, but I think it's extremely low. I'm just on a call this morning with the solicitors on the final points of the contract. So I'm pretty confident that we'll get this contract over the line. So as I say, I hope to announce that very, very shortly. But looking forward to getting that hurdle out of the way. And what's next? Well, more of the same. We've really learned a hell of a lot in the last 2-3 years working on this contract. Like I said earlier about site location, that's crucial. You've got to put these things in the right place. The technology's got to be right. People have got to want to use these chargers. You've got to get your pricing right, your tariffs right. So there's a lot of work that's gone on between Zeta and the council and the university that have helped us to make sure that we've got the right product in the right place at the right time. And what's actually happened is we're now being approached by other local authorities. So I've actually been approached by 5 other local authorities already saying, look, we've seen what you've done in Oxfordshire. Can you please replicate it and do the same for us? We're talking to London boroughs. We're talking to other local authorities. We've got a whole area up north, which will be coming out to tender shortly. So all local authorities, a lot of local authorities have come to climate emergencies already. And a lot of local authorities as well know that they have to do something to support EV drivers, and they don't have any money. What we're offering with Easy Charge is the ability to fund that through grant funding, through fundraising like this, to enable us to actually deliver this project. And the clever thing is what we're doing is we're tying up for 10 years with the local authorities. So we've got a guaranteed revenue stream for 10 years with these local authorities, and they're quite happy to sign up for that and us to offer the service and manage the whole thing for them. And we give a small revenue share, small profit share to the local authorities in return. Yeah,
okay. Which is useful to know, because there was a question around, obviously this is a 10-year product for investment. So people want to know how the contracts line up alongside that investment.
Yeah, it's exactly tied up with the fact that we've got a 10-year concession contract with the local authorities. So that's why it's a 10-year bond. We've got the guarantee of income for 10 years and the growth within that 10 years.
And to what extent are you reliant on other revenue coming in beyond these contracts in order to service the bond?
So in order to service the bond, we focused purely on Oxford. I mean, we have ambitions, obviously. We want to, my target is to do another 5 local authorities exactly the same as Oxford in the next 12 months. But the bond is purely focused, all the business model and on the return is purely focused on Oxford alone. So that's how we've done the business model, and we've worked hard with Ethex, with our financial guys and our advisors on shaping the bond and making sure that that bond can return on the investment that it's designed to do in the 10 years just based on Oxford. But our ambitions are way outside Oxford. We want to do what Pod Point did today and floated. So that's the ambition.
There we go. And obviously we should say this isn't a financial promotion, and capital is at risk. So that's really interesting. And yeah, so you noted someone's already said, you know, is there any effect in terms of the flotation of pod point? I mean, I suppose that's just sign of a market that is starting to mature, right?
I think so. I think this is a sign of the times. I think that we'll see a lot more players coming into the market and a lot more consolidation. I'm sure as this market grows, you know, we don't just need 100 chargers in Oxfordshire. We need 1,000, and then you multiply that by the number of local authorities. There's some 300-400 local authorities. We need hundreds of thousands of chargers. So this is an area of extremely high growth over the next 4 or 5 years. And where we are is positioned, I believe, right at the outset with the best product, the best service, the best offer for local authorities. So I think we're in a really good place to capitalize in this market and just ride the trend, you know, be in the right place at the right time with the right product. You know, it's the standard marketing tactics, really. And that's what we're aiming to do.
Well, on that note, you know, what is, if there's such a huge opportunity, obviously there's going to be others coming into the marketplace, and you know, what is the competition like for that local authority set of contracts?
So yeah, there will be competition. What we're focusing on is as I said earlier, our technology has got several features in it which we think will put us in the right place, and the fact that we've got this contract in early to prove that we can actually deliver, to prove that our chargers work really, really well. We've also got some patented features on our product. One of the patents is around load balancing. This means that we've got the ability to balance the grid and to actually offer a really good service with a district service operator of the electricity companies, so that we can work very closely with them. And what we're hoping to do in the future is to actually work so closely that we can actually tell them what sort of load we'll be requiring, and therefore we'll get preferential rates that we can pass on to our customers. That's a way down the line, but that's what we're working on, and that's how advanced, if you like, this whole concept is that we're trying to deliver. And I think load balancing is going to be very, very essential. You know, imagine all these cars all plugged in at the same time. We can't plug all of our cars in all at 5 o'clock and all demand a 40 kilowatt charge. The power's not there. So we have to balance that. And that's what we built into our chargers, the ability to balance this load and to deliver the best charge we can to our customers.
Yeah, thank you. That's really interesting. So how many chargers have you got out there working at the moment?
So we've got 6 chargers in the cattle market in Bicester, and each charger has got 2 leads. So we've got 12 charge points in the cattle market at the moment. In the factory, we're building 35 a month. We built 35 last month. We're on track to do 35 this month. That will take us to 140 chargers ready to install by November. And November, December, January, February is the installation program.
Right, thank you. And then in the future, Phil, when you've done all that, are there any plans to work with local authorities to implement park and charge stations or hubs for buses at all?
Buses is a kind of a different beast. Yes, there will be obviously a big demand for buses. It's not really the market we're focused on. You know, they need really, really high power charge points. We're focusing on the 22 kilowatt AC. We're focusing on the 40 to 50 kilowatt DC. So yes, there is a market for buses. It's not one that we're focused on.
Okay. And then we were talking a little bit, sorry, I'm jumping around a bit here just to get the questions in. We were talking a little bit earlier about, you know, these contracts that need to be signed. So just for clarity to the investors, if there was some reason why the contracts aren't signed, would the bondholders take their money back before it's deployed?
Yes, I mean it's incredibly unlikely if you to look at the press where all the councils are talking about already deploying park and charge. So I think politically it'd be very difficult for the councils not to move forward with park and charge. It's something that we all want to do and we're all passionate about. So, but in the unlikely event, yes, Ethex would hold on to the funds and return the funds if the contracts weren't signed.
Yeah, exactly. So as investors should know that money is held in a client account, and so it is not distributed to the business until they've reached any minimum criteria which are set. So that means that money is protected before the offer sort of successfully closes. Another question, you mentioned consolidation in the market. What would happen to the repayment of the bond if the company is bought? Are there any terms in the bond relating to that at all?
Yes. So if after 3 years, if we were bought or sold out, there's a right for somebody who came in, say somebody came in with potloads of money, they would actually then repay the bondholders the full amount. So there is a clause that allows for early repayment after 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. And just remind me, Phil, what is the minimum amount for the offer?
So the minimum raise we need is 400,000, and we need that because that's the 25% amount that we need to put into the installation work for the chargers. 75% is already funded by the Office for Zero Emission Vehicles. So we've got £1.2 million worth of funding already assigned, already pledged to put the chargers in, and all we're asking for is the 25%. That's the £400,000 minimum, and that will enable us then to pay for the rest of the chargers to be installed. The chargers themselves have already been funded by the £5 million investment from Innovate UK. So actually, if you look at, in terms of the overall scheme, we're asking for £400,000, and we've got about £6.2 million worth investment already that's underwritten everything else. So we've done really well, I think, to get the level of investment we have already.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it sets the right context for the offer, and it was obviously worth waiting for as well, to get all of those things in place before we went ahead.
We have a meeting every Monday with the team, with Oxfordshire County Council, with University of Oxford and ourselves, and we sit down and we go through, and the last few months has all been about dominoes. We've had a series of things that had to happen to make sure that we could get to the place of issuing the bond, and obviously we couldn't launch the bond until everything was in place. But it's really nice now to have, if you like, the only outstanding thing now is to get the contract signed with the district councils, and then we start digging in the ground. So yeah, it's really lots of things have had to happen. It's been a lot of work going on,
I'm sure. And just in terms of if for some reason the minimum isn't met, then the monies would be returned to investors, just to be clear. But I think that's probably highly unlikely, given our track record so far, and I'm feeling very positive about it. Okay, so would you ever work with private landowners who want to install one of your chargers?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very keen to extend the process of park and charge throughout the country. It's a system that obviously is going to work, but we would need to meet key criteria. We would need to have a car park that's got good utilization. So we need to make sure that the car park's in the right place, and that we're going to get enough people to visit. And also we'd need to have it on a minimum of a 10-year lease, so that we could guarantee that the revenues, because what's going to happen is obviously that the utilization will grow as the market takes up. So it's not something that is a short-term investment, it's a long-term investment for us, to make sure we get those returns over 10 years.
Yeah, okay. So just a couple of specific questions around the chargers again that I think I missed. is the you mentioned the heartbeat between the charger and the main office in terms of monitoring. Is that an encrypted, does it need to be encrypted?
Yes, so one of the key things is obviously cybersecurity. We're all very conscious of that. In fact, we're going through an audit at the moment on cybersecurity. So we have to use what's called a secure WebSocket to transfer the data between the charger and our back office. So yes, all of the data is encrypted. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm not sure if we already answered, so forgive me if we did. Is it just one car at a time?
No, we've got 2 sockets or two tethered leads per charger.
Yes. Okay, thank you for that. And how likely are these in terms of getting vandalized at all?
Yes, one of the things actually, it's one of the things that worried me at the start was vandalism. I have to say, we've, I mean, okay, we've only done one of the 20 car parks, but we've had absolutely no vandalism whatsoever at the moment. But what we have done is we've designed the unit. The unit's actually made out of metal. It's very, very sturdy. And the paint on the unit is a special nylon coating, which means that if it was to be sprayed by graffiti, we can actually just go and take some special chemical and wipe it and it comes straight off. We put bollards in front of them to make sure that people can't drive into them, and we're actually going to be putting tyre stops like Tesla do to make it easy to park and make sure people can't bump into them by mistake. But at the moment, touch wood, not had any vandalism whatsoever.
Okay, and again, you might have touched upon this, but if there is a problem with the charger, you know, what's your target in terms of getting that back online again?
So as I say, we monitor the chargers constantly, and actually one of the technical, if you like, unique selling propositions of the product is we use a very clever set of control gear, Schneider control gear, top of the range control gear, which actually feeds back the status of every single component within the charger. So we get data back, not only that the charger's working, but we get data back on every single component within the charger. So we know that, for example, we know the temperature of the microprocessor when it's running. So we monitor all these things. All of these things come back to our back office, and we have a data log of all of the data are coming back from every single charger, so we can ensure it's online and working and operational. And this is monitored automatically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We also have a helpline, and people, if they get confused or stuck or they can't get a charge, people can ring our helpline and we can talk them through the charging process. And we've done that quite a lot actually in the cattle market as people sort of start to use them and realize how to use them, and it's been very useful.
And are you expecting to sort of grow your service engineers team?
Yes, although you know one of the reasons that we put a lot of money into this and a lot of investment is we don't anticipate these things needing servicing. You know, we have put a lot of money into making sure that these are 100% reliable. But we do have a team here, and we will be growing that team, especially as we go out to other local authorities. We'll need to have local people available to go and check on the chargers and if there is an issue to resolve them. So yes, we'll be definitely growing the team.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Phil. I think that we have pretty much answered all of the questions. They've been coming in thick and furious. Let me just have a quick look. And whilst I'm having a look through, are there any sort of key points that you want to just get across that you haven't already?
No, I think probably people are listening to this because they realise that the electric vehicle market is going to grow substantially. So I think we're probably all on the same page with that one. But it's really nice to see the evidence, the proof. Just, you know, we've only been operating the cattle market for 3 months now, but it's really nice to see a nice steady growth in the utilisation and the charging rates that people are using. Obviously, the confidence is growing and people are using the chargers. And that, for me, that's the most important thing. You know, I was actually quite worried when we put these in that they wouldn't get used at all. was thinking, the market's really quite new. Will we get anybody using the chargers? And in actual fact, if you look at our business model, we're already seeing the utilization rates this month that we predicted for next year. So, we're already 1 year ahead on our business model, working with just with the cattle market. So, and I think the cattle market is perhaps not one of the best car parks in terms of utilization. I think there'll be other car parks that will see much higher utilization. So it's really quite encouraging at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Good. Okay. So I think we're going to wrap it up there, Phil. I just wanted to ask you a last sort of question. With COP coming up in Glasgow, and the race to net zero, really being very demanding now. How do you see, your organisation fitting into that drive towards net zero?
I think it's an integral part of it. One of the biggest impacts that we can all have as individuals is to move over to electric vehicles. There's no doubt about it. The amount of emissions that we can save by just converting and driving an electric vehicle, and frankly benefiting. I'm sure perhaps a lot of people already changed to electric vehicles, but when we've been going out and talking to people at the car parks that we've got the pilots going in, everyone that's got an electric vehicle says, I love it, I'd never go back. They really are, I think, going to have a massive impact. That's why the government's, why else would the government be pushing so hard all around the globe at the moment to get us to move over to electric vehicles? It will have an astonishing impact on climate change, and it's vital. It really is vital that we all do it, and it's vital that there's other investment coming in, and there'll be lots of developing markets, I'm sure, for charging. We think we happen to have filled one particular part of that market, which we think we can actually go and dominate in, because we've got a really good offer, a really good product, and we've got a lot of experience now, so that it's going to be very easy for us to replicate what we've done in Oxfordshire, in Northamptonshire, Derbyshire, London boroughs, Northeast. There's lots of tenders coming out. We're already responding to 6 tenders at the moment to do exactly what we've done for Oxfordshire in other regions. So there's absolutely no doubt about it. This market is going to grow. Absolutely no doubt about it.
So I'm going to ask you one challenging question just to finish. So for anyone who does occasionally drive into Oxford, inner city traffic is also an issue, right? Absolutely. So I'm interested to know whether what you're doing in your partnership with the district councils, how does that fit into their overall, not just net zero plans, but also their overall environmental and traffic management and development of the city as a place to live? Sure.
Well, I think a lot of local authorities are all looking at other modes of transport. The real favoured modes of transport obviously are walking and cycling, and that's the best possible transition to help a climate emergency. So a lot of councils are already working hard on that. There's cycle paths and there's all sorts of schemes coming in to improve that. Oxford obviously is a challenge because there isn't a great deal of access or parking for conventional cars. So this is part of the massive jigsaw which is coming to try and tackle all of the issues around transport and climate. This is not a one solution that's going to fix everything. This is part of the solution, and there's so much that has to be done. There's so much that we've all got to do in order to attack the climate emergency, and this is one part of it.
Great. Well, thanks very much for joining us today, Phil. As I mentioned, it's great to have you on the platform, and looking forward to hoping to support you in this growth and future growth as well. So best of luck, and I'm sure we'll be having you on for more Q&A sessions in the near future.
Great.
So thanks everyone for listening. I hope that answered all of your questions, or the majority of your questions. And we'll send out a follow-up email, and please do give us some feedback if this was useful to you or not, and we will be seeing you again for one of our future Cuppa clubs, no doubt. Thanks again, Phil.
Thanks very much.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.